Matt Campoli, welcome to my podcast.
Thanks, man.
It's been a long time since I've seen you.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, a week.
A week. That's a very long time.
I get to return the favor and
I was looking at pictures of you yesterday because I missed you.
How do I look?
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I got some swag here that I brought back from your podcast, Price to Sell.
It's probably the
Is
nicest.
that on the camera?
Some of the nicest hats I've ever seen.
And a gift that you gave me, which was nice.
Yes.
Which we're going to try today.
We are going to try it.
And for the audience, it's after 5 o'clock here.
It is, definitely. It's not 10 a.m.
No, but we're going to lie. Let's start off with your background. Tell me about growing up, how you grew up, where you grew up, and how that transitioned to getting into real estate.
Yeah, of course. So I grew up just myself. Well, only child. My parents divorced when I was 3. So never got used to them together. Great relationship with both. So it's not like I had father took off or anything. It's just life. So a lot of back and forth though for me. A lot of push and pull, and I witnessed a lot of financial struggle in their lives. So I think subconsciously it just created this belief in myself to never want that, So, but my life was interesting. I was always was very shy growing up. I had a small group of friends, but played sports my whole life, but never talked. I was just really shy and introverted.
What were your sports?
Hockey.
Hockey, okay.
So hockey and soccer, but hockey mainly. So again, same kind of pattern with school. I have the one or two friends that I was close to and I'd be myself with. Other than that, I was scared to show who I was. So I was just quiet, introverted. So in the change room was the same thing. Really good at hockey, but just never showed up in the game because I had no confidence. My dad used to be pissed all the time. He's man, you kill it in practice. Everyone's your son's so skilled, but he never shows this in the game. Every time I got the puck, I just gave it away. So I had a huge confidence complex growing up. And then when I turned 19, things just started to click for me. Life started to pivot. I never thought of myself as being anything, truthfully. Even my dad would throw things at me hey, why don't you become an engineer? You can make 80 grand a year. To me, that was I don't deserve that, Mm-hmm. So I always had this belief barrier with my own self and these limiting beliefs with myself. And then 19 hit, a buddy of mine asked me to cut his hair because he was cheap. My mom had all the equipment.
Because he was cheap?
Because he was cheap.
Yeah.
All my friends were cheap.
Have you ever cut hair before?
Sorry?
Have you ever cut hair before?
No, but I was always into hair. I was always the kid with the cool haircuts, and my mom was a hairdresser. My cousins were barbers, so I was okay, I'm pretty artsy. So I went over, gave him a lineup, looked pretty good. Then my other cheap buddy hit me up. He's I want you to cut my hair now because I don't want to pay anything. I'm sure. Let me wing it. Did his haircut, a lot more complex, but did it. Yeah. Then my third cheap buddy hit me up. Then all my cheap buddies started hitting me up because we're all cheap and we're all boys. And then ended up hitting the clubs, 19, and I did a decent job. Okay, I did a decent job. So I found this.
Where was your club scene?
Where was my club scene? This is London.
Okay.
And Trist.
Okay.
An Embassy.
An Embassy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are the spots.
Okay.
I threw up in all of the washrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, I got kicked out in all of them.
Kicked all of them?
All of them. Okay. Yeah. Party bus is down. Oh, man, I have some photos. I don't know what the hell I was thinking back then. But my friends had these haircuts, which were decent. And the barbering game wasn't anything special yet. Everyone in my community in Vaughan were still going to their old hairdresser who was in his 50s and 60s. Yeah. Didn't know how to give a proper fade. So they see my guys with a decent fade that I learned off YouTube and who cut your hair? And they're Matt. So they literally in the clubs who were can I come for a haircut? I was I guess. I was nervous as hell. I was how much you charge? I'm $5. So
where are you doing this in your?
I sat in my garage at this point. I just winged it, Awesome. And then so started doing these $5 haircuts. People from the club started to come see me, and then that just translated to more people, word of mouth. I'll never forget the day I made $50 when I was only making $80 every 2 weeks at Urban Planet. I was in retail, folding clothes. So I was okay, I made $50 today versus my retail job of $80 every 2 weeks. We're onto something. So I started to go all in on the barbering, and it just awoke up the entrepreneur in me. I read a couple books, also taught me some things, and then I just bought an Acura Integra at the time. I was looking into fixing it up, and then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, realized that was a liability.
The Bible.
And everything just started to shift for me at that time. So it was just like a series of events, and the barbering business took off. I was in school for history. I was studying history, so I got my degree in that. I was thinking of teaching, and when I went to volunteer for teaching, I realized, okay, the first thing I asked, because they had this new mindset now, it's okay, I can be something, you know? I asked everyone there, like, what's the max you can make here? Like, what is the max a teacher can make? They're like, you know, X amount after 10 years, you know, and depending on what you graduate with from teachers college and all these things. And I didn't like that amount personally, right? So I'm like, okay, we gotta stop this right now. There's no point of even continuing. So I just finished. I got my history degree, and I was like, okay, do I want to barber my whole life? Not really, because it's taxing on the body. So I'm like, okay, what can I do with this network? I have this network of people. What can I do with all these people? I had over 200 guys coming to me. I was like, okay, it's either I club promote, run buses from Vaughan to downtown, or sell drugs. I didn't want to do either of those. So at the same time, my mom, because we were renting for my entire upbringing, and she finally had the down payment to purchase a home. Okay. And I went with her to see the home for the showing. And I see the realtor pull up in his Mustang, and this guy's just showing off the house. It's like, yeah, it's the kitchen, it's the washroom, it's the house. That was it. And then we did the deal, double-ended it. And I started researching, what does a realtor make? 2.5% of what my mom just bought. Did the math. It's like, holy fuck, this guy just made, can I swear in here?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit, this guy just made like 15 grand.
Yeah.
That's insane. I do one of these a month, like, that's like I'm retiring.
Yeah.
In my head at the
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
I was like 23. So yeah, I'm like, okay, you know what? I've never took a business course. I don't even know what an interest rate is, but I'm gonna get my license.
And how old are you at this point?
I was 23.
23, good.
Yeah, 23, 24. I got my license when I was around 25.
Okay.
And then I just winged it, man. I just started to find mentors, found the significance in finding mentors, surrounded myself with people where I wanted to be in life, and then just started to go head down. Again, that motivation behind me to never be financially broke or struggle just lights me up. I'm an overachiever, and here we are.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up on that mentorship point because it seems like every episode I do, people like yourself on the show, mentorship is a constant theme. Mm-hmm. Right, and I think that I think it's a necessary thing, to be honest with you. So tell me how you identify those mentors, and how you turn them into your mentors.
Yeah. So my first was my real estate broker record. My first broker record, Joe. He was my best friend's cousin, and I didn't interview anybody. I went straight to him because my buddy told me how much he made, roughly, which is a lot less than he actually does. Yeah. And I was still wowed. Yeah. And when I sat with him, just his presence, he's like, I'm gonna make you a lot of money. He's like, I do this. And he's awesome at what he does.
Is he still in the business?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he crushes. And I didn't need to go anywhere else. I just felt comfortable. It's like family to me. And I just wanted to be like him. I just everything he told me, I just full respect levels, full respect factor. Just, okay, I'm doing it, and he was one of my first. And then from there, I started to kind of latch on to others. And then social media wasn't really a thing yet, but when social media started to come out and I started to gain access to other people in the world who were at where I want to be in life, I started to have these online figures, exactly. For example, Ryan Serhan, these other people in life, whether I know them or not, they're still mentors to me.
Yeah, they just don't know it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
Amazing. Speaking of which, you are a big part of your business. Why don't we talk about your business, mm-hmm. how you run it? Let's talk about how you started out running your business and how, with the adoption of social media, how you made that transition, because you're very heavy online now. Yeah. And then we'll talk about the podcast after that.
Yeah. So I've just been winging everything. I'm the type, I just kind of jump
Trial
in.
Trial
and error. I don't really like to, there's a law of adaptation. So if you plan too much, things are always going to shift, If you're you're going to get stuck planning forever, you're never going to execute. Whereas if you just hop in, you'll adapt, whatever that is. You'll figure it out along the way. So I learned to do that early on, and not to have analysis paralysis, and just like jump into things, figure it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But Joe, my broker record, he had me in the office 8 a.m. every day on the phones, consistently checking in, make sure I was doing my work. And I could tell he was the type that, like, if I wasn't, he'd just like, okay, I don't care anymore, you know? But
old
like,
school, very old
for
school.
sure, right? He's not gonna like really hold my hand, but like I knew what I had to do. And I knew that if he was telling me, because what he's doing clearly works, I had to do it. So that was my business to start. I ended up hiring a Mike Ferry coach. I joined a team for a short period of time, and his name was Michael. He taught me how to cold call. So yeah, I was just banging on calls. I had the Mojo dialer. I was doing the triple line dialer.
Oh, yeah,
just,
we used that in the past, yeah.
Yeah, just banging out like 3 calls at once. I was doing like 100, 150 a day, just getting rejected all kinds. Then I would follow up and knock on people's doors and say, hey, I just spoke to you on the phone today. Here's my card. Didn't really gain too much business from it, but it was just the learning how to overcome the objection handling and the confidence, right? I started to create.
You'll get that really quickly. Use the Mojo dialer, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. So that was the basis of my business to start. But then I saw we had this little thing called Instagram. And I felt like there was power in it, right? So I'm like, okay, I have a decent following at the time. I don't remember what it was, maybe like 1,500 people or whatever. But because I had a good network for my barber business, so people knew who I was as that barber guy. So I was already like that barber guy in the community. Mm-hmm. And I had a huge community from the gym and all these different verticals. And I was like, okay, how can I hit my whole network quick? How can I let everybody know? I'm like, let me post a picture that I'm in real estate. So I posted a picture. It was me with my earrings and like my sunglasses on, like
Some chains,
like total like, yeah, it's hilarious. Total douchey pic. And I'm like, okay, like this makes sense. Let me just post on my socials and let everybody know. Then a bunch of comments, a lot of support. Cool. Then that wasn't my first listing, it was my broker's, but I'm like, where better to market it than my social media? It makes sense. I have like 1,500 followers. Let me just post a picture of the listing because you never know, people might see it. And then I started to do this thing on socials, and my broker told me, he's like, don't waste your time on there. You'll never get a deal done on social media. And it didn't.
Just to put that in perspective, what
Yeah.
year was that he was saying that to you?
2016.
2016, okay.
Yeah, 2016. But to me, it just made sense still. Like, obviously, everything he told me, like, I thought of as true because I looked at him and he was very successful. But I'm like, a part of me is like, I still want to just post on my socials. Like, what? Like, it doesn't hurt me to do it. It's free. So I still continue to do that. And as I started to see other realtors doing their thing, I started to use the power of video, and I started to just pick apart the industry too. I just didn't really resonate with a lot of the way the way they were doing things. Like, everyone's posting a picture like this with their arms crossed, and it's like, that makes no sense to me. Like, body
Couples
language.
that are back to back holding their dogs.
Yeah, like body language 101. Like, why are you like, you're not approachable, right? Yeah. Or just a simple video of like, here's the house, here's the kitchen, come by it, 123 Street. Like, it just, I'm like, there has to be a way to get more creative with this. So I started to think of different approaches to doing video, and I ended up, my first ever listing video, I went that route. I went with the societal norm. I went with the status quo and did everything everyone else was doing. I just stood in front of the door and I was like this, leaning up on a ledge, and it's like, hi, I'm Matthew Campoli, welcome to 123 Street. Check it out. And I just let the video like pan from room to room. And it was terrible. And it didn't feel like me.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate this. I posted it and it's like, whatever. People like were like happy because I got a listing. Like they were, congrats and stuff like that. But like for me, I was like, no, there's the missing piece here. This is not me. So it wasn't until my second year when business started to pick up and I got my first custom home listing. And the agent, the seller had just fired the agent before me. And a referral source of mine kicked in. And he's like, Matt, I put in a good word, make it happen. Like, this guy needs to sell. I was like, okay, like I'm still green, but let's do it. And I didn't have access to any other listings. So I'm like, if I'm going to implement my idea, then now's the time. But it didn't feel like the best time because this guy was like super analytical. He was a builder. I didn't really know him that well. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to do this anyways. And I made sure he didn't follow me on social media. And I spoke to the video crew at the time who I resonated with, who had the same sense of humor as mine. And I'm like, let's make a video where a partner of mine will show the house like a regular average agent does, which I hate. It's like 9-foot ceilings, all this stuff. And let me do weird things in the background just to like get attention. So it starts off with me eating a banana on the couch in the background, super random. but that's my humor.
Yeah.
Then we're in the kitchen and I'm cooking and I have an apron on that says like spooning leads to forking, and I have a salt shaker upside down. Like I'm doing all this random stuff, and then he's showing off the kitchen. I'm like smelling a plant in the background, like picking the plant from the house and like putting it in the bowl.
Yeah.
And then we're in the basement. He's like showing off the basement, and I walk out of the cold cellar or cantina because I'm Italian with tomato jars, and I'm like, like this in the
jugs.
background.
Yeah.
And then we're upstairs, and I'm like getting frisky with a pillow in the background. So it's like all these like little things in the background. Like if you notice it, you notice it. And the video took off. Like the video.
I have to
hit.
add, so this wasn't an MLS listing.
This is not an MLS listing video. This is strictly on my Instagram.
Yeah, this wasn't a virtual tour on.
This is not the virtual tour.
Yeah, okay.
Virtual tour was professional.
Okay.
This is borderline.
Yeah.
And it just took off. It did so well. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Like I actually watched the full thing. And to me, that was like eureka moment. Okay, if people are watching this whole thing, like regardless if they want the house or not, like people stayed for the entire video. If they actually like the house, they're gonna tell a friend. They might look at it themselves, but the problem I found was the engagement. Like for spending this money for these photos, might as well get people to actually watch it, and it'll actually do a service for the listing. People are sharing it. That's more exposure for the listing. So it was a big eureka moment for me. I was in love with the idea of being myself on camera, and I just started to continue. I started to do like...
It's a big jump from the shy guy in high school, right?
It was a huge jump from the shy guy. That's why I like to tell that story, because people out there who are shy or think that, oh, I can't be that person, or they're born with it.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you seeing so you're obviously very active on social, how is that converting into business now through your engagement on social?
Yeah, so it took some time, but I was consistent with it. So it's not like I got the listing overnight, my first video. Like I was probably for about a year just consistently making skits, funny videos. Even if it wasn't around a listing, I'm like, how can we relate? Because I loved acting. I always wanted to like secretly be in TV and film, right? Mm-hmm. As a kid. So I'm like, how can I live out this little dream of mine in this business? So let's create some skits that we can relate to real estate, but not necessarily centered around a listing or a house. So the first one was a Christmas video. Again, me and my partner Augustus at the time, we made this thing where it's like, what would be the best Christmas gift for someone? Let's make that someone a buyer who on Christmas Eve is like looking for, all I want for Christmas is a good real estate agent. So we had his brother on the computer. All I want for Christmas is a good real estate agent on Google. And then like 5 a.m. hits and he gets a knock on the door, and he opens the door and there's this big present on the driveway. And then he's like, what is this? And then bang, we pop out like 2 realtors. Like, we're here to help you. Merry Christmas. And then we all go for a stroll and this music comes on and we're like skipping with him. And he's all happy, like happy client. So I started to do stuff like that and started thinking of following. And then people started to say like, okay, this Matt guy's pretty cool. I think I might want to work with him instead of this agent who I maybe found on whatever, or like, found a card of this person or referred. Like, I think I resonate with this guy. That's when I started to get the traction, because I was also very relevant in terms of going out. I was very social, out all the time, every weekend, dinners, clubs, bars, whatever it is. But it was a combination of people who I knew from that scene, plus watching my videos. They felt the comfort to come up to me and be like, man, like your stuff is awesome. Like I can't wait till like I'm looking for a condo, even if it's for lease, because you seem like a fun guy to work with. Mm-hmm. And that's when it all started to click.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like the point of the use of social is, you think back to your barber days and the 200 people you had as clientele that you decided, I'm getting into real estate, I'm going to convert these people into real estate clients. It was all about building relationships over time. Mm-hmm. Right, and that's what the use of social is. You're trying to get a broader audience to see what those 200 people already saw in you back in the day, so you can build relationships with a broader audience. Right?
Exactly.
So now getting into the podcast, let's talk about price to sell. Where did that come from? What made you take that direction as far as launching the podcast?
Yeah.
What was that? What was the transition like, and how are you seeing that put to use in building your business now?
Yeah, so for me, like I'm very forward thinking.
Sorry, since we're talking about price to sell, we should probably try your gift.
Tequila.
From
I've been
episode.
waiting, man.
Yeah,
I'm like way too sober right now. Yeah, thanks.
Here's to 5 o'clock.
Cheers.
Cheers. I already had the luxury of trying this, so I know it's good.
I just took it like a shot.
Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I feel this one.
I mean, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, that's for sure.
Tell me about the bottle,
That was
actually,
great.
first. Tell me about the bottle. Where'd it come from?
So it's very artsy, definitely Mexican, definitely like Day of the Dead theme, and
Where'd it come from, though? It's not LCBO.
LCBO.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't see LCBO on there. Oh, I told somebody you brought it back from Mexico for me.
You know what? I don't think it's been in LCBO forever. I think it was like more exclusive before.
Yeah.
I just happened to see it in LCBO.
Yeah, it's nice. It's great. It's a great
But we'll
bottle.
pretend it was like...
Yeah. You brought this back from Puerto
That's
Vallarta.
Tulum. Yeah,
Okay.
Tulum, yeah. Straight from a cave.
Back to price to sell.
Back to price to sell. So, and this Tulum is actually relevant in this, but I'm always been like a forward thinker, looking at pain points. So when COVID hit, actually right before COVID hit, me and a buddy were in Tulum. Funny enough, just absolutely hammered, and we're like, okay, man. Like at the time, he was a young guy. He had a great story. He survived cancer. Started his own business, like making incredible money for like a 23-year-old at the time, and I was like 27 and pretty relevant already at the time in social media. So people were looking up to me and asking advice. So we're like, we have all these younger kids asking for advice. Let's start a podcast and talk about stuff. And let's bring on people. And let's showcase Toronto and like all the entrepreneurs. So I was called a Simple Podcast. I mean, my buddy Zoe. And we created that. I mean, the inception was in Tulum at a pool, dusted. And when we got back, COVID hit. So we're like, oh, perfect. Like people are going to be watching now. So we started filming and recording. And then through that, built a lot of relationships. Long story short, one of my buddies, like one of my best boys right now, Ernesto, he has a really relevant podcast called the Money Buys Happiness podcast. And we're all in this podcast space together. So we're always like dropping ideas together and like kind of collaborating and like, you know, brainstorming and masterminding. He hit me up one day. He's like, Matt, because they had the resources, like, we want to start a real estate podcast. You're the guy. This is in 2021. I was like, okay, love it. Thank you so much, man. But like, I'm so busy right now because, you know, I was thinking like really narrowed, like tunnel vision. Like I have listings and buyers on the go. Like I'm busy right now.
It was a busy time, right?
Yeah. Like I can't right now. He's like, dude, he's like, you'll thank me later. I'm not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
When can we start? I was like, all right, set it up. Let's do it. And that's how it happened. So partnered with them, the Neighborhood Creative Crew, and the Money Buys Happiness crew. And then we came up with the idea of a name, Price to Sell. No idea what direction it was going to go. We just knew it was going to be real estate related, and I was going to host it. And so first thing I did was got my buddy Dave Hutch on because I was comfortable with him. I was like, let's shoot the shit. No idea what we're going to talk about. Just start talking about the industry. Mm-hmm. Then I had my buddy Dimitri on. Again, started talking about the industry. And then just realized, okay, let's focus on the real estate industry. Let's bring on other realtors. Let's showcase the other realtors and talent in the GTA or Ontario for that matter and see where this thing goes. And that was it. Just kind of like, again, just jumped in the deep end with it. And now it is what it is.
So tell me about the demographics. Who are the demographics of the listeners on the podcast?
Majority are realtors.
Okay.
Slowly growing on the consumer side. There's always been consumers, but I'm trying to bring that up now. I've had listings come out of the podcast through just consumers.
Great.
But it ended up being super niche down to the real estate industry, which has done wonders for me as well. The relationships and networking, you know, bidding wars. Mm-hmm. A lot of advantages to having this podcast within the industry, speaking on at events, things like that. But that's currently where it's at right now.
Yeah, I appreciate your mentality, right? You're very collaborative, like we try to be here. But you know, this is a very much, as you know, a lone wolf mentality industry, right?
Yes.
So, you know, having that network of realtors listen to your podcast, you're right. It's building relationships with these people. And
Yeah.
I know recently you've been posting a few different things on social saying, I'm looking for this, this, and this for a client.
Yeah.
Right? Having that realtor database following you on a daily basis, like it's going to benefit
Right.
your clients, right?
You know, any off-market stuff, like assignments I've sold
Exactly.
through my socials,
Exactly.
because like my following is all realtors.
Yeah.
And that's why people hire me too, is because they just know, like I know a lot of real estate agents. So a lot of the times, like with buyers, they're banking on the fact that I'll know the listing agent and that, you know, I can allow for an easier and smoother process just because
Yeah.
of that relationship.
Other brokerages and realtors are not the enemy or your competition.
No.
They are colleagues.
Exactly.
Right.
Big time. I heard it on I use this term all the time. It's not mine, but I heard it on a podcast. Like it's not competition, it's co-opetition.
Yeah.
You know, so when I'm talking to other agents, like let's meet at the middle of the net. We're playing a volleyball game here. Let's meet in the middle. Let's discuss how we're going to win this together because, you know, I'm not here to if I'm gonna bash you and like be like, oh, you're wrong, like, oh, like I don't agree, like no, like it's not gonna go anywhere.
Exactly.
You're doing disservice. It's an ego game.
So tell me about some of your guests. You've had some pretty big guests on there, right? Myself included.
Like Mark, yeah.
That's right. But no, Ryan Serhant. How'd you come to getting him
Pronounce
on
his
your podcast?
name again?
Ryan Serhant. Serhant.
Sorry. That's very.
Serhant.
Very.
You pronounce it for me.
Was it Nova Scotia?
I'm Nova Scotia. Yeah.
It's very Nova Scotia. of
Cape
you.
Breton. Actually, it's Cape Breton. We're Nova Scotia's.
It's just a very Nova Scotia pronunciation.
For sure.
So I just had to call you out on it.
So you say it out loud.
Ryan Serhant.
Serhant. Okay, Serhant. Well, I'm just putting that T on the end.
Serhant is very royal.
Yeah, it makes he
You
should.
might like that.
I think he should go with that movie.
I think he should.
Yeah, just follow my lead.
I think you should. But
So go ahead.
I'm a big manifester. So every podcast, like here and there, I'll always throw it out there. Like, Ryan, I'm going to have you come on one day. Like, I'm going to get you one day, So my following, which is crazy, this effect, because I'm just shooting the shit, whatever. But everyone started to know Ryan was my goal. So it became like a collective effort.
That's amazing.
And people started to reach out. Like, people knew my love for Ryan Serhant. And like people that don't even know would like reach out to me and be like, one day you're going to get Ryan, man. Like, one day you're going to get him. Like, all the support with
That's
people
great.
I don't know.
That's
It's crazy.
That's such a good energy.
It's crazy, man. It's a great
experience.
energy.
Yeah.
It's a great energy. And one day, I was sitting on my couch, I'll never forget it. And Justin Conacow, big shout outs to you, who was a past guest on my podcast. Because every time I knew someone had any sort of connection to him, I'd like try and ask questions. I knew he was in his coaching system and in his network. And so he hits me up one day, random text. This is like late at night, it's like 9 p.m. He's like, hey, have you had Ryan on? Like, general like that. So I'm like, not going to think Serhant. I'm like, Ryan who? He's like, Serhant. I'm like,
Serhant.
obviously not. I'm like, no, I haven't had him on yet. It's like, great, give me an hour. Okay. Then he texts me later. He's in. I'm like, what? So I have to call him. Like, dude, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? Who's in? Ryan's in? Like, Ryan Serhant's in? You in for what? He's like, he's in. He's down for the podcast. I asked him. I'm setting up an email thread right now. Then I get an email intro to his team, and then 2 weeks later, I'm in New York.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great.
it was like, for me, it was like, because that was my end goal. That was like the end goal. It's like when price to sell is like big, and it's like good enough, and these are my own little paradigms, but then I'll get Ryan on one day. So I wasn't ready at the time.
No.
Energetically, and it just ended up happening. I said, all right, we're doing it. I don't care. I'm coming to New York. I made it as easy as them for possible. Like,
Yeah,
we're bringing
for
the
sure.
crew. We just need Ryan in a chair, and I'm there. I'm coming to the office, and we made it happen.
That's great.
And Cam was with me.
What was the experience like? How was Ryan? How was his team? How was?
I was nervous as hell. Definitely fanboying. So the funny thing is, because I went to New York for a solo trip, probably like 6 months prior, just with the intention of meeting him and just figuring it out. I don't know how I was gonna meet him, but I just went to New York. I'm like, I started posting and tagging him, like, guys, let Ryan know I'm here, and he was in the Maldives with his wife. I'm like, all right, I don't know, I'm still gonna end up in the office somehow. I don't know how, but I was. So ended up meeting with some buddies, some American friends I knew. Went out for a dinner. They introduced me to their friends who are from New York, and one of them was a realtor. And first thing I asked is like, Ryan Serhant? He's like, no, but I know one of the guys on his team really well. I'm like, okay. He's like, do you want to set up a meeting? I'm like, sure. He's like, do you have investors for New York? I'm like, oh yeah. Hell yeah, I do. All kinds.
Yeah.
So I set up a meeting. I met two of the guys that work under Serhant. One of them, Sean McPeak, who I've been actually had on my podcast and did tours with after. But at the end of the meeting, it went well, and they're like, "Do you want to see the office?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So just one of those stories where it's like I came with an intention, no idea how I'm gonna figure it out, but I did. Ended up with my goal being met, and then when I ended up getting to New York the second time, it was just very surreal for me because I'm like, "Wow, I'm here my second time in New York. Now I'm here to actually interview the guy," Really nervous, but ended up, he was super welcoming. Everyone was super welcoming. He was on a tight clock that day because they just launched their training course. So grateful that they even had me in like during that frenzy. But it was a wicked experience. Really cool dude. I got to pick up on a lot of his traits as to that speaks to his success.
Yeah.
But the fact that he just took a random guy and just said yes to it in his busy schedule allowed me to come in, did an hour with me, And
What a great story about putting things out to the universe, right? And having
Oh, yeah.
them back, right? Like,
Big time.
and collaboration as well. Just having the people within your network help you and encourage you and push you. And
Exactly.
That's great. I love that. I love
yeah.
that. So let's talk about price to sell. What is your goal with price to sell? Where do you want to take it? What are some guests that you haven't had on yet that you would love to have on? Let's put some more out to the universe. It seems to work for you.
Again, like we're just growing it. Podcasts are a long game, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's not really much to monetize off right off the bat unless you get sponsors, but it's more of like a credibility and brand awareness type of thing. And once you can start locking in the bigger guests and they can start collaborating with you, that's where the growth comes. But there's a lot of pivoting, right? So we're always coming up with new ideas. I'm blessed to have a team of 7 on it where we're always like in meetings and like coming up with like, what are we doing next? Different segments. One of them, a birth of that, like one of our children of PTS is field trips. And say, okay, let's travel. And instead of just like travel to interview a guy in another city, let's interview him in a really cool listing and then do a tour with them. Mm-hmm. Right? So let's add some more YouTube content to that. So the other verticals. So there's been different like little branches that Price to Sell has grown into and these video tours. And we're going to explode on that right now too. We're having some really cool partnerships with some brands that are going to help put together a lot of these potential tours. So that's in the works right now. But I think Toronto's great. Like had on a lot of good guests, a lot more to come. But I'd love to go more international with it. Hit different markets, different realtors, investors.
Only if you had a friend with a massive international network.
Yeah, like Mark.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me know if you meet him.
You should connect with some great listings.
Yeah.
Overseas, you can plan a trip.
Yeah.
And write it off.
I love write-offs.
Yeah, write-offs are great. You don't even know what a write-off is.
I don't even know what a write-off is. I don't know what interest rates are either. But that's...
Are you a Seinfeld fan?
You know what? No.
No? Okay. That was a Seinfeld
Too young.
fan. Really?
I don't know. Maybe not.
No, I don't think you are.
I watch Rugrats.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Oh, you're 31. I thought you were older.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe too young. Okay.
I watch Yu-Gi-Oh!,
You should look it up.
Pokemon, and
It's a good-
Beyblades.
It's a good episode.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's still unknown.
Okay.
And the end goal.
So
we're just rolling with it.
What about the special guests that you want? Who's your next Ryan?
You know what? I think I want to hit LA, maybe like Mauricio Mansky, $1 Million Listing Crew, maybe like the Oppenheim brothers. Like, I don't know, I guess like the celebrity realtors.
Mauricio would be a good one.
Mauricio would be a good one because he's not even like, it's not like he's just like that influencer realtor. The guy's actually built a freaking
Oh, he's built an
incredible
empire, and he seems like
empire.
a very
humble dude.
what I know of him.
Yeah.
I watch him on TV, but he
Yeah.
seems like a very humble, easy guy.
And all the agency people are always like, oh man, if you join the agency, we'll set you up with
No,
them.
I know exactly.
But it's such a cool brand, and a lot of the people here, like friends with a lot of them here in Toronto, and so I feel like that one's coming close. Mixed in with some cool tours of some LA properties,
Mm-hmm.
right? Doesn't get better than that. Then Dubai, maybe. Who knows?
Nice. Okay.
Worldwide. Worldwide.
One of your focuses with your clients is Airbnbs. I know
Yes.
you've done it for yourself and even south of the border. Talk to me about that part of your business and how you're working that into your client offering.
Okay. Well, I got to say, this 5 o'clock shot hit me nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no, that doesn't mean pour me another one.
Oh,
I'm saying it hit me nice. But you can pour me another one. It's
yeah.
fine.
That's
The Airbnb game, again, one of those things where I saw like the early movers advantage. That's been like my theme, I feel. Social media, podcast, Airbnb. It wasn't really relevant, so let's do it.
maybe this is your next sponsor.
Maybe this is my next sponsor. Airbnb, 2019 is when I started, pre-COVID. Bought my first investment property, ended up linking with some Airbnb guys and some other real estate investors, and learned the potential of the potential gains you can make through Airbnb. Because the problem was Toronto condos were affordable. It's a great location, but they're not cash flowing.
No.
But they're appreciating. So if you want to play that appreciation game, great. But what if you can cash flow? So I was like, all right, let's try and hit, 2 nails on the head here. And there was a potential through Airbnb. So I did it.
This was pre-regulation, correct?
Pre-regulation,
Yeah.
definitely pre-regulation. I obviously I'm the type to walk the walk first, so I did my own, saw that it worked, then I started to promote it, and I realized there's not a lot of realtors that are promoting Airbnb. So like, why don't I become the Airbnb guy? Maybe just throw it in the bio and let everyone know that I'm doing it. before other people do it. And it worked extremely well for me. Obviously had a lot of success with my own unit. I got to learn all the buildings and regulations in Toronto. Obviously the regulations came in, had to navigate that. But just became known as this Airbnb guy. I do it here, I do it in Florida. A lot of my network that I connect with do it at a high level. So when people come to me, they trust that they can get some good insight. And that's in turn turned into a lot of deals on my end from investors because they want to go to someone who knows what they're doing with it. And it's been a fun game. It's been a really fun game. So I would say that's, again, one of those like early movers things. I just got into early, mastered it, and now it's something I preach.
And government's come in and made it way more complicated.
And the government just wants, obviously, make money because you're making money.
Yeah, and the hotels had some influence there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
What's next on the real estate front?
I think I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. It's fun. I love it.
Pre-con?
Got a little team now. Got the pre-con brand going, the condo collection. And yeah, just like I'm honestly open. Like I don't have like set goals. I'm like more open to receiving whatever comes my way, whatever feels right. Mm-hmm. I've learned to like say no to things too. But the thing, like the pain with this industry, like I look at the pain points, right? Forward thinking. Do I want to be selling real estate forever, where I'm actually out there showings and dealing with the day-to-days of a resale forever? No. Do I have a lot of time left in me to do that? Yes. But I'm trying to build out these verticals where in the future I can kind of step away and manage and oversee things and have more freedom, because people get into real estate thinking you get freedom.
So is your team helping you with that freedom right now? Like,
Most definitely.
Are you helping to transition?
Most definitely. But it's a learning curve too, and they're like patient as hell with me. So
yeah.
We're still figuring it out. We're growing day by day. And I'm also trying to make it super fair, because I know the team model can sometimes may not be the most profitable either, right?
Yeah.
So I have coaches, I have it all. I'm trying to do it right the first time, leveraging the experts, right?
Good.
So
let's talk. We'll wrap this up with a few kind of quick fire ones. Talk about trends you see in social. Where do you see social heading right now? What platforms do you want to start focusing on, or if you're not already focusing on, where do you see this going?
So I think Instagram is always going to be a solid foundational thing for you. Mm-hmm. YouTube, there's so much to gain on YouTube. There's so much market share to grab there. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got like a resistance to YouTube for some reason, So if you can get on YouTube's, like the Tom Stories and stuff like that, like it's a hard growth. It's a long game, but you can get a lot of actual business from there. TikTok is good. A lot of my Gen Z guys on my team are crushing that. Also speaks to the other Gen Zs. But I don't know. I feel like now we have Threads. Now we got like Twitter and stuff like that.
Are you on Threads?
I'm on Threads.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm on Threads.
How's that transition going?
It's good.
Now, are you just taking the same approach to each platform, or are you finding you need to change it up and pivot a little bit with the different platforms?
I think you got to know what the platform, like what works on each platform,
yeah.
Right? Like I can't just post my Instagram content and TikTok and expect it to work. Like Threads is like, okay, let's be a real human being here and speak to people from a personal standpoint, right? Same with Twitter. So I think you got to like learn each platform and see like how it works and why people succeed there, but don't also spread yourself too thin either. Mm-hmm. Like for me, Instagram's my thing. It'll always be my baby. I've learned to like accept that. I've learned I'm not going to kill it on TikTok. I'm fine. That's cool with me. I'll still continue to kill it on Instagram. I'll still continue to kill it on my podcast. You don't need to be good at everything. It's, be a master at like one or two things, mm-hmm. versus being just like average at like all of them, So
there's a lot of positivity that you talked about today with regards to energy and getting that energy from your network. What about the haters? There's always haters, right? How do you navigate the haters, and what do you do with them?
So I mean, like as anyone grows or starts to elevate, you're just gonna get hate because people want to bring you down to their level. It's just gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Just a byproduct. So the quicker you can learn to not give a shit what people think, the better you'll be. I think people get handicapped when they start they see that one hate comment and they're like, oh shit, like I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this video. Like delete. I still suffer from that. But the quicker you can become and adopt mindsets like the guys out there who are like absolutely killing it and don't give a shit and receiving all the hate in the world,
yeah,
the quicker you'll continue to grow.
Yeah, there's no power in getting caught up in it.
No, it's just like look at who's commenting. That person, it's always fake accounts, number one.
Yeah.
That means that someone went out of their way to make a fake account
Exactly.
so they can hide their identity, to shit on you.
Yeah.
Because they hate their own lives.
Exactly. I think the story I told you about Heather,
Yeah.
and what I was recommending to Heather, I think we should do a collaborative thing where we just read off the
would love
mean
that.
tweets, right? The
I would
Jimmy
love that.
Kimmel mean tweets. I think it would be brilliant.
I'll pull up a bunch of those.
So, and lastly, new agents getting into the business, the pros and cons of the business. That if you knew, then what you know now, what are the pros and cons getting into this business?
So I can still consider myself a traditional realtor. Like I bang out phone calls. I do the duties. You know what I mean? I think if you're getting into the business looking at these TV shows and just these social media like glitz and glamour accounts, it's not for you. If you think you can just like put on a cool suit or dress and some cool shoes and start taking
Deals
photos,
going to roll in.
it's not going to happen.
No.
Like you got to be ready to like deal with all the hills, the peaks and valleys. It's an emotional roller coaster. Do the hard work, like get on the phones, prospect, all the traditional duties you need to do. Like you got to do that shit. If you're not willing to like get uncomfortable, it's not for you. It's not. And I feel like there's gonna be a lot of realtors exiting the business that got in for the wrong reasons when the market was flying.
I see a lot of it right now. I see a lot of people that are just looking to be in front of the camera on a daily basis,
Yeah.
without the substance of knowing what it is to get a deal done, know how to navigate a deal, know how to properly protect your clients. And I agree with you. I think that those guys are,
Yeah.
going to have a hard time.
If you're coming in looking for leads, I think you're already like lost the battle.
Yeah.
Like anyone who interviews me and they're like, "Do you provide leads?" I'm right away. I'm like, "I'm not for you."
Yeah.
Because I don't want that mindset. If you're coming in with like this dependency in the real estate game, it's not going to happen. You got to be able to have a belief in yourself and a willingness to work every single day and show up to produce your own outcome. Other than that, it's not for you. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. Final two questions.
Yeah.
Name your top 2 favorite neighborhoods in Toronto.
Top 2 favorite neighborhoods?
Yeah.
East Bayfront.
Okay.
Not biased. I live there.
Okay.
I really like Mimico. Yeah.
From a neighborhood perspective or for an investment perspective?
Can we go like north of Toronto?
Yeah, why not?
Oh,
GTA, let's say GTA.
GTA, okay. King City, Nobleton, Kleinburg. Love those pockets. Stouffville's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I named a lot here, I'm sorry. But if I want to speak to downtown, I love East Bayfront. I think there's a ton of potential there. Downtown East is like growing. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. And I live there. So you might see me.
Nice.
I think I add a bit of a benefit to the area.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You definitely elevate it, right?
Yeah, when I go for walks, I
Yeah.
feel
Walking
like,
around with bottles like this.
yeah, 100%.
Top 2 favorite restaurants, let's say the GTA.
Oof. So, Greek food, Athens. Athens is fantastic. Awesome. Man, I'm so picky. Like, I'm that type of guy that's like always wants to try something new. I won't like stick to one spot. If I have to go steak though, Morton's.
I love Morton's.
Morton's is awesome.
It's no one talks about it. It's
No, it doesn't.
It's old school.
It is.
The people that are there
Yeah.
have been going back there for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
But it is like you never hear anybody talking about
Yeah.
it. It's an old school, and I like it. It's
Yes.
right up there with like Barbarian and stuff, right?
Yes, I love Morton's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Where can people find you?
At Matt Campoli, MattCampoli. That's pretty much it.
Podcast.
Price to Sell podcast.
Best
And
platform from the find that.
Best Instagram and YouTube for both, I'd say. If you want to just like search me up, Instagram, and all my links are in my bio for everything else.
And are you bringing on new realtors to your team?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
They know where to find you now.
You know where to find me, just hit me up. Don't last for leads.
It took me to have you on for them to know where to find you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're not going to find me. So thank you, Mark.
No.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you. Let's finish this off and
Yeah.
call it a day.
Let's get hammered. Cheers.